Hey guys, for today's video, what I'm going to do is since the Robocop remake came out not too long ago, and since I reviewed it not too long ago, and I even reviewed the original not too long ago as well, what I'm finally going to do, since I haven't done a comparison video in a long time, specifically with an original film and its remake, is finally for the first time in a long time, I'm going to review the original 1987 Robocop with the 2014 remake of Robocop. And how I decided to do it is since this is kind of a hard comparison video to do since I kind of feel equally on some aspects of both films, is I'm going to go over some big things that make, RoboCop in sense of a film, like the storyline, the family element, the action, the sci-fi elements. I'm going to go over all the major elements of both films, and I'm going to tell you which version I think is a little bit better since, like I said, it's a very you'll be surprised by the winner of this because the winner of this video, the winner of these two films, won just by a slight little hair, and you'll see at the end why that slight little hair managed to win for one of these films. So first, let's start with the story of RoboCop. I personally think the remake did a better job handling the storyline of RoboCop. I liked the idea of, it really asked, the remake really asked some questions on, is it right for a human cop to be, out and about and, taking care of this crime and stuff? Or can a robot do it and then the human cops can, take care of the office work and things that isn't so risking their lives as much? And I liked, in the original was more so just like, it was just a typical cop story that took place in the future, and it just so happened to be a RoboCop in it. And like I said, the remake really makes us think about, what's right, what's wrong, what can a human cop do, what can a RoboCop do. Should we even have robotic cops? And I really like how the remake really asks these questions to us. And it just took that on much, much better, I think. So, as far as the storyline goes, I think the remake did a better job. For the family element of the story, I think the remake of the film once again did a much, much better job than the original. I think the family element was definitely, like I said, it was very much more dominant in the remake. We really got the impression that, Alex Murphy in the remake had, a wife and a son that he really, really cared about. He would do anything to get home to them. When he became RoboCop, he didn't want to kill himself because he was worried about what the family would think. He wanted to kill himself because he really felt down under that he really shouldn't be living like this, that he wanted his family to remember him the way he was as a human. And it was just a much deeper element in the remake, I thought, and it just really almost brought tears to my eyes in certain scenes because we knew this guy really cared about his wife and son. And being RoboCop, it both bettered his life and ruined his life in some ways. And I like how the film explores how it was good and how it was bad for Alex Murphy. And I think the remake, once again, really nailed the family element of the story. So I'm going to have to give it to the remake when it comes to the family element of RoboCop. For the action of RoboCop, I'm going to have to give it to the original this time. That's one thing about the original I think I liked better than the remake is the original just had some more memorable action scenes. I just remember leaving the original, because I saw it on DVD not too long ago. It just seemed to have the staging and choreography of action scenes were executed better. I thought in the original, it just was a little bit more memorable. The final fight with the main villain of the film was a little bit more memorable that time too. Um, I liked the partner cop that Alex Murphy had in the original better, the one that Nancy Allen from Carrie played. The one in the remake they used was a very forgettable character, and I think it was an African American man in the remake. But yeah, just the overall action scenes, how it was staged, how it was choreographed, how it was executed, much better than the original. So that is one element of that the original film did offer than the remake is. I thought the action scenes were overall much better. For the sci-fi elements, I do think the remake did a better job. I really liked how in the remake, specifically near the beginning when we see those giant, towering cops and these, robots that are definitely trying to be RoboCops, before Alex Murphy became a RoboCop. It definitely felt a little bit more believable. Like a lot of people were saying about the remake, if we did have robotic police officers, it would probably look more so like what the remake offered than what the original offered. And that's something I think the remake really offers, is that it really gives us a sense of realism while also giving us a good sci-fi story at the same time. So once again, I'm going to have to give the sci-fi elements of the story to the remake. For the villains of RoboCop, I'm going to have to give that to the original. In the remake, we had a very dull, one dimensional villain that was very forgettable, didn't have a lot of screen time, wasn't a very well developed character. And like I said, just not a lot of scenes to really make him feel villainous. It really made us feel like, RoboCop had to kill this guy, or else, there would be just too much vengeance in his heart and things like that. So we really didn't get that impression in the remake. In the original film, Kurtwood Smith, we personally see him kill RoboCop. We personally see him and RoboCop fist to fist fighting near the end. Just a much more memorable villain. Kurtwood Smith, I thought, did a better acting job than whoever the actor was in the remake did. Um, I think the names were changed too, just so it felt a little bit different for both versions. But yeah, villainous wise, I think the original did a better job. Much better villain, much better action scenes between the RoboCop and the villain, and things like that. So I'm gonna have to give the villains of the story to the original RoboCop. The actual RoboCop character, I think Peter Weller did a much better job as RoboCop than Joel Kinnaman did in the remake. So I'm going to have to give it to the original when it comes to the RoboCop character. Peter Weller, what I liked about his execution of the character is I liked how when he was the human Alex Murphy, and when he was the RoboCop Alex Murphy, we really got the impression of who was what. Whenever he was RoboCop, we really got the impression that how he was moving was truly a robot and not Peter Weller. And then when he was, Peter Weller, he just moved along and fought like a human would and things like that. So I'm going to have to give the RoboCop character to the original, to Peter Weller's performance, more so over the Joel Kinnaman's performance that happened recently in the remake of RoboCop. For the side characters of RoboCop, I'm going to have to give it once again to the original. I thought the original film had more interesting side characters. There was some pretty good side characters in the remake. Not the side part, not the partner cop, but um, things like what's his name, Jay Baruchel's character, and like Jackie Earl Haley's character. Those characters are fine in the remake, but the side characters of the original, like Nancy Allen and what we briefly saw, the wife and son, and what we saw of kind of the other employees of this corporation, and, the other employees that are the other cops that got to work with Alex Murphy. Once again, much more fun and much more interesting in the original. So I'm going to have to give the side characters of RoboCop to the original. Then, as far as acting goes, though I did praise Peter Weller's performance in the original RoboCop over Joe Kinnaman's, I do think the overall acting job was much better done in the remake. I really liked Michael Keaton's character as the corporate businessman. I thought he did a better job than the guy did in the original. I thought the Gary Oldman character was a very interesting character. We really didn't get to have a scientist character in the original. We had, businessmen who were definitely promoting RoboCop, showing off what he could do, but I really liked how Gary Oldman not only was the promoter of RoboCop, but he really had to teach RoboCop. He had to comfort RoboCop. He really, made sure he was comfortable. Made sure, that he gave him choices. If he didn't feel comfortable it's about certain things, he kind of held his hand and kind of like a real life doctor, made sure that everything was all right when something big and possibly tragic was about to go down. And I thought Michael Keaton's character was very interesting. You could definitely tell Michael Keaton has a lot of experience as an actor because he had a very good screen presence in the remake. And I also thought the wife in the remake was very good. She was very believable. You could definitely tell she really had feelings. She really wanted Alex Murphy to be Alex Murphy again. Not to worry that he was this RoboCop. He was still the same Alex Murphy that she remembered before the car bomb went off, and just very, very touching when those scenes happened. So. Um, as far as the winner, which I think is the better RoboCop film, I am going to have to give it to the remake. I know a lot of people are going to be shocked about that, but I really think the family element of the remake was very, very powerful and almost brought tears to my eyes. Just very, very, those scenes alone were very, very effective. I thought the family element scenes alone in the remake was done better than any other scene done in the original RoboCop. Just very, very powerful scenes, and overall, I think when it comes to the better RoboCop film, I'm going to have to give it to the remake. I thought those scenes were much more effective, and it really makes the film stand out. And I think that's something that the remake's always going to offer over the original. Though I can't say, people are always going to choose the original over the remake when it comes to, people being in a Robocop mood to sit down and watch a Robocop film. I think overall, just as far as good filmmaking goes, as good acting goes, as good writing goes, I am going to have, like I said, once again to the family element of the remake, just because it is just it's so engaging and well written. So but one thing I will say before this video is over with is I think both films suffer from a bad ending. The original film felt like it was abrupt and not quite finished, and the ending of the remake felt like they stuffed too many ideas into it near the end. Like there was too many loose ends that had yet to be tied up. Like it was setting up for a sequel too much. It just, like I said, just too many ideas thrown in at the end there. So, as far as endings go for both films, neither one really has a memorable ending to me. So, if you're looking for good endings to film, RoboCop's probably not the best one to go with. So, there's much better films out there like Forrest Gump and Shawshank Redemption. I think they have much better film endings. So, the remake of RoboCop, I like that one a little bit better. It won just by a hair. I really like that family element, so I think that's what overall made it the winner. So, hope you guys liked it, and I will see you here either for a future comparison between two other films or for whatever future video I do here over the next course of future videos.